And welcome to the Oregon Public Defense Commission dashboard meeting to go over caseload reporting. For the record, my name is Kim Freeman. I'm the Compliance Audit and Performance Operations Manager, and I currently have the policy and the data team. We have most of the OPDC staff here in a conference room, and so I would like to take this opportunity and have everyone in the room introduce themselves so you know who is here from the OPDC team, and then you'll recognize voices as we go through our information today. So I'll start with Maddie.
Hi, everyone. My name is Maddie Ferrando. I am one of the research analysts with the agency, and I've been here about 2.5 years.
Hi, I'm Megan Doak. I'm a program analyst, and I've been here for about 4.5 years.
Adelina Hernandez, I'm a program analyst, and I've been here for, will be 3 years in December.
And I'm Charity Morris. I'm a data analyst, and I've been here a little over a year now.
Perfect. So we're gonna start this morning. I almost said this afternoon, but it is the morning still, with Maddie, and we do have an agenda. This meeting is being recorded. So we will monitor the chat, and the recording will be posted to our OPDC website probably within the next usually 3 days. And so anyone who was not able to attend today, you can let them know that the meeting is recorded. And with that, I'll turn it over to Maddie.
All right. Hello, everyone. So this is basically our second office hours regarding our public-facing dashboard. We originally had one in December, and that was shortly after the dashboard went live on our website. So we figured that as we come to the end of this contract cycle and the dashboard's been up for about 6 months, it was a good time to kind of do a little refresher for anyone who's interested. So I'm going to share my screen and I'll kind of walk through the dashboard. All right, so this is our website, just in case you don't know where it is. So under general and then data and reporting, we then have the OPDC dashboard, kind of accordion, and then this external dashboard. So the external ones, just briefly, these are 2 OJD dashboards. They're both publicly available on OJD's website. The first being the unrepresented dashboard that I'm sure everyone has probably seen, and then an unrepresented analysis dashboard. But today we're going to focus on the OPDC one. So when you click on this link, it should open up full screen. And that is a new sort of feature as of a couple weeks ago. Prior, the dashboard would kind of just stay in the web page, and it was kind of hard to see. But we were able to have it, become expanded so it's easier to read. So it'll open up to this home page. There's a little overview about the criminal contracts and the trial division. So this dashboard is focused solely on criminal contracts and then the criminal Oregon trial division. Let's see. And then there's a couple of things linked in here. We have the contract terms, the reporting manual, and there's a little list down here regarding updates. So if you think this is kind of we keep track of if there's been any changes to the dashboard. So the first page, you can either use these buttons at the top to get to the different pages, or this arrow down here will take you to the next page. So this page is just definitions. It's kind of handy in case you are unsure what exactly we mean by something in the dashboard. We have a definition for MAC, maximum attorney caseload, how we classify open cases, the definition of prorated MAC, reported MAC, and utilization, which I'm going to get more into as we get through the criminal contracts page. So this is the criminal contract page. As you probably know, the caseload reports are due on the 20th of every month for the prior month's data. So as of right now, the box in the top left will tell you what sort of date the dashboard is reflective through. So since the May reports were due on June 20th, the dashboard shows everything that's been submitted through May 2025. The dashboard will update every Monday at 10 a.m. and also updates on the 21st or the next business day after the 21st if it falls on a weekend. So if you end up resubmitting a report or submitting after the 21st, you can look for the data to be reflected, updated here on the following Monday at 10 a.m. So this, if you've never used Power BI before, it's very interactive. There's different filters at the top. So we have the filter for county, and this is actually the contractor home county. So wherever they're contracted for to take cases, which is why you'll see multiple counties listed together. You can also filter by contractor as well as month. And this is reflective of report month. And so it goes through May right now. That's what we have. And then this main table, this is everything that's been submitted to us in terms of appointments. So these are counts of appointments. Appointments are flagged as if the appointment date is in the same month as the report month, or it's the first time that an attorney is reporting that case. That's how it gets counted as an appointment. And so there's the total number of appointments, and then they're also broken out by case type. If you expand under there's a little plus button next to the county name. And when you expand on there, it will expand down to the contract. And then additionally, if you expand again, it will take you down into each report month. So this way you can look and see in a certain month, how many cases did you report as appointments? It can help check to make sure that your report was submitted correctly. And so on the bottom, we have appointed cases, closed cases, and open cases. On the definitions page, there is a definition for open and closed cases of just how we kind of identify those. For the most part, if a disposition code or date is listed, it gets flagged as a closed case for that month. Okay, so now we'll talk about reported MAC, prorated MAC, and the utilization rate. So reported MAC is essentially anything that gets flagged as an appointment in your report for that month gets calculated as MAC, as based on the case weights laid out in the contract. And we adjust the MAC for a few things, one of which is the withdrawals. So if you withdraw within a certain number of days, you might get partial credit for the case. There's also the extraordinary case circumstances, where if you request additional weight on a case through the form on our website, that gets applied here if you're approved for that. And then additionally, there is the out of county weighting. So some case types get granted double weighting for being taken outside of the contractor's home county. So that's how prorated or reported MAC is calculated. Prorated MAC it's kind of funny to get your head around at first, but it's basically a time adjusted attorney FTE. So we'll take the example as if you are a 1.0. If you are a 1.0 FTE, and that's for attorney MAC. So prorated MAC doesn't include supervision or specialty court. It's simply your attorney MAC. So if you're a 1.0, taking all caseload of attorney MAC if you're contracted for 1.0, you're 1.0. But if you're only contracted for 6 months, you're not then responsible for the 300 weighted misdemeanors that a 1.0 is for an entire year. So we prorate that 1.0 to the 6 months. So then your prorated MAC would be 0.5. And that also becomes a factor when you consider that we're on a 2-year contract cycle. And so from July 2023 through June of 2025, if you are a 1.0 attorney MAC the entire time of that 2 years, your prorated MAC is going to be 2.0 because that's the time adjusted of the 1.0 FTE. And I will note that since the commission has voted on contract extensions through the end of September, this dashboard will be updated to go through the end of September, in line with the contracts. And then that would mean that if you were a 1.0 for the entire contract cycle through September, you would actually be a 2.25 in terms of prorated MAC. And so the prorated MAC here rolls up by county and by contractor. So this is the entire prorated MAC, essentially capacity of a contractor in terms of MAC. And the monthly breakdown is for each specific month. And the prorated MAC, it's prorated to the day. So the months where there's 30 days in a month compared to 31, you're gonna have like a 1 decimal point difference in the prorated MAC. And the prorated MAC is, so it's based on the attorney's start and end dates. So if you left a contract in the middle of the month, you get prorated for those 15 days that you were part of the contract for that month. There are a few other things that factor into prorated MAC, such as, so it's based off of our contracts database, which basically stores all of the amendments for the contracts. And the data for the prorated MAC gets updated when the amendments are executed in the database. So you may notice a change in the prorated MAC recently because of the fact that we didn't do any amendments from January through May. And so once the May amendments were executed, you may have had an attorney join or leave a contract or change their FTE maybe in March or April, but that wasn't actually effective in our database until the May amendment was signed. And then that would have gone back and retroactively changed the March and April prorated MAC to match what was actually happening under the contract at that time. So because of that, your utilization rate may have changed for some of those months as the May amendments were executed. The one thing that does not get factored into prorated MAC right now is any shutoff. So if you submit a ethical shutoff form from our website, we use that as knowledge to know that you're shut off, but that does not get calculated into the prorated MAC at all. So the utilization rate is just the reported MAC divided by the prorated MAC. So it's to see basically if you've met your total capacity sort of to date under the contract. Other things that could affect the utilization rate, if say you submit your caseload report late in 1 month, once the 21st hits and we update that dashboard, your prorated MAC for that month gets added in. But if you haven't submitted your report yet, you don't have any cases to show for that month, so your utilization rate is going to look fairly low until you get that report submitted. Okay, I think that covers criminal. And I'm going to move to the child vision page now. So this is the 4th page on our dashboard, and this basically shows the Oregon Child Vision, which we now have 3 offices. The Northwest office in Portland, the Central Valley in Marion, and the Southern office in Medford. This is a caseload breakdown for them. They use a case management system, and that allows us to have data updated for these offices on a daily basis. But the dashboard refreshes Mondays at 10 a.m. So this is always reflective of the previous Friday for their data. They currently use the National Public Defense Workload Standard case types and case weights, just as a way to identify sort of the case types that they're taking. So similarly to the criminal page, this table is kind of a breakdown of the cases that they've been appointed to by case type and by county. If you expand under the county, you can see which office took cases in that county. The table or the graph below is a count of clients and cases by case type. The light blue is the case count and the dark blue is the client count. This more colorful graph shows just a rolling count of the number of attorneys that are working at that office. You can do it by office type. This one also allows you to filter by county. This is the case county, office location, and then case status. So since one way that the trial division bases their capacity is on utilizing those national standard case weights, they utilize a 2080 open case weight at any given time. But what they also are doing is anytime a case goes into bench warrant status, they're marking it as pending. So it then comes off of their open case weight, freeing them up to take another case while that existing case is in bench warrant status. So this table over here, what shows you just the total number of open case weights currently per office, and then what the average is based on the number of attorneys in that office. I'll also note, because I'm sure many of you have probably seen it, that we also have the ability internally to measure the trial division in terms of MAC. They also, not only do they track the national standards case types, but they also track their cases in terms of the same case codes that the contractors use to submit, which allows us to kind of convert their caseload to MAC as well. Let's see. So I think that covers kind of an overview. I guess I'll open it up if anyone has any questions about anything we've covered, or anyone else here has anything to add. Feel free to raise your hand, come off mute, or you can utilize the chat as well. All I can see is your name listed as office, so feel free to speak up.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to raise my hand. I apologize.
Oh, no worries. I have a hard time believing that I actually explained prorated math that well.
You want to show them on the criminal, the infinity? Or go over that, just in case anybody has noticed.
Yeah, so there is a possibility of having a utilization rate of infinity. And it's more likely to happen on this dashboard with smaller contracts. An example could be if, let's use when we had no amendments from, in March and April. If you had a attorney join a contract in March, but they weren't actually effective on our roster until the amendment was signed in May, they weren't going to appear on having a prorated MAC value until that amendment was signed. Once it was signed, it would go back and add in their value from March and April from when they started. But until that amendment was signed, if they showed up on a caseload report, as they should, because they're taking cases, their utilization rate would essentially be infinity, because you're dividing a reported MAC value by nothing, because we don't have a prorated MAC value until the amendment was signed.
The same thing could happen, right? If they accidentally report a juvenile report under their criminal, they would get the same error, right?
Yeah, if an attorney, they
Like
had
had
an
a juvenile
attorney that was not on the contract, showed up on the report.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Additionally, you could also see a 0 in the reported map for a month if the no new cases button was submitted on the caseload report. If only specialty court cases were submitted, because specialty court does not hold a MAC value. And then,
Only open.
oh yes, only open cases. So if you didn't report, you only get reported MAC values when you submit appointments for that month. So if there weren't any appointments for that month, you won't have any reported MAC for that month.
Does anyone have any further questions? If you do have individual questions about your caseload report or specific data around your caseload report, please reach out to your program analyst, and along with them and the data team, they're happy to meet individually one-on-one with you to walk through any of your reports. We've done that in the past and it's been very, very helpful. So I would just like to offer that to anyone on the call with us today as well. Or if you have suggestions on other items that may be helpful to view on the dashboard, we're always open to any suggestions as well. I'm going to take this silence as a good thing that we answered all of your questions, or we shared, again, additional information with you today that we shared in December as well. And the session from December is also recorded and on our website as well. But with that, I will take it that we can go ahead and end. And again, we will post the recording in probably about 3 days on our website. But if you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out to any of your program analysts, and we're happy to help.
On the office hours page.
Yes.
Yes.
The recordings will be on the office hours page of our website.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone, for your time.